Get the coolest mesh online at mesh.alfred.vip.
In my first ever real story a few months ago, I said unapologetically, I have come to the conclusion that a bunch of so-called journalists in the legacy media have decided that you are stupid. Stupid, I tell you. Apparently, that was an understatement. Today's real story is nothing short of mind-blowing. Watch these images from Los Angeles.
The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
Do you?
Even she, the reporter, is flinching. But she wants to say it's a peaceful protest. You can see her flinching. She can see how the whole situation is tense. She can see the riots. And it's funny. It's funny. And there are crazy people who still are Democrat, and they wonder why people like me are Republican, are pro-Republican, are pro-Trump. When the legacy media just lies. Look at throughout the pandemic, look at all the lies, with the facts and all that. Then just on and on and on again. You can almost guarantee at any time you put on the TV and you put on CNN or any of those leftist media channels, it is just lies. They have even forgotten that it is not their job to support a political party. It is not their job to support the candidates. But CNN, MSNBC, their thing is just support the left, no matter what. Lie and lie and paint Donald Trump as the bad guy. Keep in mind, it's not about Trump, it's about righteousness. Donald Trump is only bad because he stands for what is right. And there are people who like to twist things and make it look like, oh, we are worshipping Donald Trump. That's stupid. What if, can we say you are worshiping Obama? Can we say that you are worshipping, Kamala Harris or all those leftist folks? You will say no. It sounds crazy to you. Then why do you think it's okay for you to say that Republicans worship Trump? It's so stupid. Trump just represents what majority of Americans believed. Americans have always believed, the majority of Americans have always believed that the border should be secure. That you shouldn't have people illegally flooding into America. Donald Trump just taps into what the majority of the people want and goes with that. Nobody's worshiping up Donald Trump. It's not about people following Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump following what the people want. That's the reality. But they want to twist it to demonize it. Oh, this Trump supporters. It's not Trump supporters. It's Trump is being a supporter of people who have always believed what they believe, but have been ignored. They talk about why are men going away from the Democrat Party, because you hate men, because the left hates men. It's always about with the feminism, man bad, all men bad. Men are, if you look at all the movies, all men bad, men are useless, men is this, everything is men's fault. And then pushing for the feminization of men. Men do not want to be effeminate. There have always been men before Trump that did not want to be effeminate. Men being masculine did not start with Trump. Men wanting secure borders did not start with Trump. These are just people that have been ignored, that Trump taps into, that Trump has supported. So it's not about people supporting Trump. Trump supporters, quote unquote, are not Trump supporters. They are people who have always believed what they believe, and Trump supports them. That's the reality. It is not about supporting Trump. It's about Trump supporting people that have been ignored. Christians have been ignored. And people talk about evangelicals standing with Trump, because these are evangelicals that have seen their rights pushed back. They have seen that when they send their kids to school, the school has to teach their kids about LGBT, and the parents have no say. Even in Christian schools, the LGBT try to force their way into it and say, oh, you have to have this ideology, oh, you have to do this. Even telling a kid that says they are gay, that you can be straight, is now conversion therapy, is now therapy, is now demonized, So the Christian looks at it and say, what is this? You can't even tell a kid that you can repent from being homosexual and be straight. You can walk away from that. That is now evil that is now demonized. The Democrat Party demonizes that. So Christians have always had beliefs, the same beliefs, and Christians are being pushed to the background. Then comes Trump to support what Christians believe. Then comes Trump to support what Americans believe. Americans have always been Americans, not people who became Americans yesterday or people who entered illegally and are calling themselves Americans.
Firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
Do you
could see her flinch.
think this is peaceful? And when I ask that, I genuinely want to know. I want you to comment below whether you agree or disagree. Now, look, pictures don't lie most of the time. I mean, in this AI era, I suppose they can, but these are straight up pictures unchanged. Your eyes don't deceive you, but the media does. CNN's Dana Bash, well, she compares this madness to what happened in LA in 1992.
What did happen in 1992 was so different from what we're seeing now. I mean, that was a real riot.
Guess this isn't a real riot. MSNBC interviewing California Representative Judy Chu, a Democrat, who calls this a, quote, manufactured crisis.
You know, calling it a manufactured crisis to make it small and it's interesting. Who are they trying to blame for it? Trump. The people who manufactured it, if you are going to say it's a manufactured crisis, are the Democrat Party, are the leftists, specifically the leftists with their ideology that Trump is bad, Trump is evil for wanting to kick out illegal immigrants, you know, for border patrol, you know, to do their job. Oh, it is evil, it is terrible. The flooding of America with illegals during the Biden administration, that is what manufactured this crisis. The rhetoric that these people have the right to protest, the people that are even making it possible, because these are who are the people protesting? These are leftists. A lot of them are leftist organizations that are sponsored. Antifa. Who is sponsoring it? Leftist organizations, leftist charities. When you give your money to leftist charities and you see leftist governments, this is what they use the taxes to do. To buy people to protest in the street. And there's the same thing they do in Africa. A lot of the protests in Africa and third world countries are sponsored by leftist politicians in America who have globalist agendas. You know, people want to talk about Elon Musk and say Elon Musk bought the presidency for Trump and is controlling Trump. Later, when Elon Musk and Trump fell out, the same people said, I knew it will happen. How could you know it will happen? I thought you said that Trump was not in charge, that it was President Musk. Even that clown, Don Lemon, was walking around saying President Musk, that there are people in Washington who say it is President Musk, that Musk is the real president, that Donald Trump is just a puppet. You were saying that now that Trump and Musk had the fallouts and, you know, Musk is out of the White House, you are still saying that, oh, you knew it will happen. How did you know it will happen? I thought he said that it was Musk that was controlling Trump. So this just, the whole situation shows that you were always lying. And you knew you were always lying. You knew how wrong it is. You knew how ridiculous it is. And you are just jumping. How can you believe both things? Is it either is it President Musk, or you always knew they were going to have a fallout and Trump was going to kick out Musk? You know, who was in charge? You one had said that, you know, Musk is the one running the show. Now you are saying that you always knew that, you know, Trump and Musk was going to have a fallout. What are you talking about? This proves that there were never, you know, there was never any President Musk. You know, Trump was always running his show. Trump has always been an independent person. You know, if you are trying to control somebody, it's not Trump. It's the Obama that you will see that is controlled. It is the Biden that doesn't know his left from his right. That the mainstream media, the same mainstream media that was lying and demonizing anybody and calling anybody racist, who said that Biden's faculties were not all there. We see Biden doesn't know where he's walking. He will walk left, walk right, be talking to the air, shaking hands with the air. The whole world saw this and was laughing. And then the same mainstream media will come and say, oh, you're a racist if you say that there's something wrong. Now that it has gotten to this point, they are now saying, oh my God, we are shocked that we are so deceived. Oh my God, it's Biden's fault. Even Carrie Jean-Pierre, that was calling everybody racist, who brought up this point, is now saying, oh, she cannot believe that she was so deceived. She was the one that was the captain of the deception. You know, the Mrs. First Press Secretary that is black and openly LGBT, you know. And that is the thing. All these diversity hires are just evil people.
What does that even mean? This crisis isn't manufactured. MSNBC's news coverage is manufactured. That's what's manufactured.
You have outliers that throw things and cause damage. And so, yes, the LAPD came in and they called it an unlawful assembly.
She apparently had no idea that on her split screen were burning cars set ablaze by outliers. So while she's talking, they're showing, well, it just didn't seem to go with her rhetoric at the time. MSNBC again.
It's actually relatively mellow, even though it might not seem that way. It's like a sort of, you know, another thing that happens at protests like this is that they sort of settle into almost like a celebratory atmosphere.
Celebratory atmosphere. The third one is the charm from MSNBC.
And these are the same people that were just, when Trump and Musk were getting along, they are the same people that were burning down Teslas, you know. And interestingly, Teslas used to be a symbol of being pro-left, being pro-environment, and it was a leftist car. You know, it was a car that when you saw someone that was always Tesla, you know they were leftists. But there is the thing about this program people. The left is the modern day Nazi party. You know, and the same way that the Nazis controlled the youth and had all those organizations, that is what Antifa is. You know, the Antifa are the foot soldiers of the leftist Nazi system, because the true fascists are the leftists. They are the true authoritarians. These are people that are against law and order. These are people rebelling against law and order. And this is what Governor Newsom supports. If the Chinese Prime Minister was to show up, that's when he will clean things up. But outside of that, no, let everything go to blazes.
Most of the crowds, again, that I saw, that I spoke to, that I was interacting with, these are peaceful people that want to get their message across.
Peaceful people, and look at what they are showing on the other side of the screen.
Brought signs, they're out with families in some places.
And these are the people that call January 6, you know, they demonized January 6 for so long. This, that. And yet we can see the footage of January 6. How many, was there any burning during January 6? Was there burning of anything? Any paraphernalia, any flag, you know, any building, any car, you know, we didn't see that on January 6. You know, all the footage of people walking in, people guided in, and all of that. All of that is conspiracy theory. If you don't believe what your eyes tell you, believe what we tell you. And if you don't believe what we tell you, you're a racist. You know, that's the leftist media machine propaganda nonsense. And it makes you think also when you look at anything the leftist tells you, especially even with the Russia issue, they're not telling the truth. Even you have to look at Iran and all the global conflicts through eyes of, man, if the left can be and the mainstream media can be lying about all this, what are they not telling us about Russia? They must be lying to us about Russia. They probably are lying to us about a lot of other conflicts, even North Korea. You know, it's possible. Look at when Trump went in the first time. He was the first one that had a dialogue and actually had a conversation, which had now been set back and rolled back since Biden came to power. You know, but he had a conversation with Kim Jong-un. So it's better to talk to people and settle matters and let there be peace. But the leftist media was putting it up as, oh, Trump is squeezing up to dictators. You know, the left are a war machine. They are the leftist mainstream media engine. You know, they're just pure a bunch of evil folks.
Great place to take kids. I don't think so. The headlines, same story. CNN, Trump seizes on Los Angeles protest in contentious use of military amid migrant crackdown. Trump escalates his battle with California. LA Times. Trump wants LA to set itself on fire.
First of all, that is what Governor Newsom wants. He is the one that is sponsoring the protest. You know, it's his party that is sponsoring the protest. And he's the one that is not doing anything to stop it. And is rebelling against Trump quashing it down. And did the same thing with the early fires that happened. You know, it's funny how Democrats keep destroying America. And they just keep on with the rhetoric of, oh, if you're against us, you're racist. Oh, if you're against us, you're racist. Oh, and they try to twist things in the most ridiculous ways that are so obvious. You can so blatantly see how deceptive they are. But the left keep pushing this nonsense.
Let's rebel smarter. Well, little too late to rebel smarter. LA is already on fire. And for what reason? Because ICE made 45 arrests, including a 55-year-old illegal resident from the Philippines. Who was this charmer? He was convicted of burglary, sexual penetration with a foreign object, and assault with intent to commit rape. And a Mexican national with a rap sheet that includes shooting up a house and vehicle with people inside, battery on a spouse or cohabitant, willful cruelty to a child, driving under the influence, and assault with a semi-automatic firearm. An illegal alien from Vietnam with a
rapists and murderers. That is who the left is fighting to stay in America. Trump is really focusing on a lot of criminals, you know, and the left is unashamedly fighting for the criminals to stay in America. It's ridiculous, you know. But if someone wants to legally go from, like, say, Nigeria to America, the process is so difficult. But it's when the person goes through the human trafficking system of the backyard and risks all kinds of manner of sorts of things, because there are a lot of people who get killed on that journey. A lot of people end up human trafficked to a different location and as slaves in different parts of the world because they wanted to illegally go from their country to America. It's a dangerous voyage that could land people in any, and they keep taxing them. This person will transport the person from here to here in very strenuous, uncomfortable, risky situations and circumstances that may kill them. Like people, you know, putting human beings under barrels upon barrels to evade immigration regulation. They could suffocate there in some cases. You see cases where somebody sews like a mattress and they put the human being inside the mattress, and there are different human beings that are sandwiched in mattress. So it looks like if they are shipping mattress, but it's human beings that are inside the mattress. People can suffocate inside those mattresses. The few that may make it out and may go further, only God knows what other means they will use to transport them. So it's not even everybody that will reach the end. And these people are paying heavily for each segment of the journey. And if they fall short, the transporter will say, you have to do this or do this. They could end up killed, end up raped, or all of that. There are kids that have been raped multiple times, all in the name of trying to get into America illegally. So the leftists, as they are on one hand prosecuting people like PDD, they are actually the main supporters of real human trafficking on its worst level, because they are the ones enabling it with their open border policy for only illegal immigrants. Why can't you, if you really care, and I'm talking about the leftist government and politicians that are doing this, why don't you open the door legally, and why don't you sponsor? If someone in Nigeria, if someone in Philippines, if someone in Congo, if someone in whatever third world country say they want to go to America, why don't you open, you have American embassy, open the American embassy, anyone that applies can go to America. Do it that way. Rather than putting people through the headache of they will go through all kinds of illegal means. And after entering America, they will get deported. Which they should, because you entered illegally, you broke the law. Somebody that broke the law to enter a country, why would they keep the law when they are inside the country? If somebody breaks into your house, Why would the person be a law-abiding citizen inside your house? Why do you expect the person not to rob you or steal from you or shoot you when they are inside your house? They came in illegally. What makes you think that their intentions and their activities inside the house will not be honest and legal? Illegal immigrants must be deported. You know, if the left really care, and these are for people who are watching this, you know, and who are saying, and especially the crazy people who think that because of my skin color, I should support whatever, you know, the left says those with my skin color should support. Look, if you really care about Africans and Mexicans or whatever, why don't you make the process simple, the legal process simple and easy? For so many times, you know, wasn't Biden in office? Why didn't he make the legal process easier? If you want to go to America legally, you are put on a waiting list, and it's so difficult. It keeps getting difficult, and the price at the embassy keeps increasing. So why don't you make it free? Everybody can apply to go to America for free from third world countries. Do it. In short, pay for their flights. Make the thing easy. Rather than, you know, if you really care about migrants, make the legal way easy. Don't block the legal way and create all kinds of barriers in the legal way of migration. Nigerians are treated like trash at airports. Change that if you truly care. Make it easy for Nigerians. Make it easy for people of different countries, developing countries, third world countries, you know, make it easy. You know, and if you truly care about stopping human trafficking, you will also block the border, you know, make the legal migration. If all these people that are coming in legally, if it was easy for them to come in legally, they will choose the legal routes. Because the truth of the matter is that they are paying more money to go through the illegal routes. You know, they are going through a lot of problems, but the legal routes has so many roadblocks, not just money. There are a lot of restrictions and there are a lot of things, not just money. So, in spite of the fact that the legal routes money is going up, there are a lot of other things, a lot of roadblocks that make it difficult for a Nigerian who wants to go to America to go. Just like that. You know, and the same thing with other third world countries. And people are going through all kinds of backyard means. And the backyard means is getting them killed. The left knows this. The CIA, the FBI, you know, the Democrat Party, they have the connection, so they know the numbers of how many people are getting killed and how dangerous it is. But they're intentionally putting people who will be incentivized to vote Democrat if they have to vote, because they know that the Republican wants to deport them. So that is also why, okay, when Biden was in office, the Dreamers, why didn't he speed up their citizen process? All the people that, you know, we have been here for previously, during Obama's reign and all of that, why didn't he just make them legal? No, because he needs them to remain illegal citizens so that they will not become legal citizens and choose and have a choice of voting Republican or Democrats. No, he wants them to remain illegal, so they are blackmailed into you have to vote left, because it's only the left that will keep you in the country. That's why the left is the way it is. You know, if I vote left, the left is not going to deport me. But the left is not giving you citizenship so that you will stay in that state where you must forever vote left if you want to stay in the country. That is the scam. And that is why they are not making people, they are not interested in people coming in legally. Because also, if you make it easy for people to come into America legally, then they can choose between left or right. They are not obliged, they are not blackmailed, they are not under compulsion to vote for the left. They can choose to vote right, especially Christians or those with conservative views, you know, those who are from countries that do not smile on gay marriage and LGBT and all of that. They are certainly going to vote right. They are certainly going to vote conservative, they are Republican. You know, those who are against abortion, they are certainly going to vote Republican, not left, when given a choice. But when you put them in a position where it is like, oh, the right is going to deport you, only the left is going to keep you here. So vote left. So that is that blackmail scheme that the left is running.
Criminal history that includes a conviction for second-degree murder. The list goes on. Look, this was not a witch hunt to round up Abuela Maria. It's law enforcement getting criminals off the street. So what does the left do? Encourages everyone to become criminals by blocking freeways, setting fires, throwing rocks, destroying city property, and attacking federal agents. Might as well hold up a sign that says, "I'm a violent criminal. Please arrest me." And do you think this unrest is limited to Los Angeles? Well, think again. Flash to Dallas. Hundreds gathered downtown Monday night in solidarity with LA protesters. They chanted, "Abolish ICE," waved Mexican and Palestinian flags, lit firecrackers, and held signs like "End mass deportations" and "Immigrants make America great again."
And this is another thing. When you open the borders, like what the Western world is doing, like Europe and America and Canada, and you have a situation where, what are the interests of the people that are now flooding in? Let's say they are majority Indian or Arabian. And then they become office holders, because majority of the office holders in Europe, for example, are Muslim, Indian, or Arabic. So what policies do you think they will support? And what migration policies do you think they're going to support? They are going to support migration policies that bring in more people like them. So we have a situation where the white race will keep on dying in its own nations and on its own continents, and it will eventually become extinct because they are the only ones that are going to be doing the abortions. Muslims are not going to do abortions. When Muslims go to UK, America, they are not going to do abortions. It's only the white people that are doing abortions and killing their own children. Of course, the African Americans and those who have been indoctrinated there. Then also with this feminist, all men are evil, all men bad, and it is eco-friendly not to have children. I don't want to bring children into a world with so much evil and so much uncertainty and so much climate change, blah blah blah. So that nonsense applies to only the whites. The Muslims that are coming in from different terrible countries, they still have polygamous marriage. So one man is bringing in like 200 children from 10 or 20 wives, and they marry early. So they're just pumping out children who are all going to be Muslim and of that race and ethnicity. So what is the future population? Is wiped out. And then they have put all this nonsense and made it seem like anybody that complains about the dying white population is a white nationalist. So it's all smartly put together. If you don't support us, you are racist. So it is the demise of the white race and white dominated countries. Because once it goes fully Muslim, when a nation goes Muslim, it never goes back. There's no nation that went Muslim that went Islamic. There's no Islamic nation that became un-Islamic. But it seems to be the destiny of a Christian nation to become a secular nation. America was a Christian nation. It has become secular, super secular, and it keeps getting increasing secular. The nations of Europe, Britain was a Christian nation. It is increasingly becoming secular, soon to become Muslim. That is the thing. Christians, we do not believe in getting into positions of power and, getting into politics. We do not see the importance of getting into, all these positions. We just believe we build church and wait for people to come. But we must have activities and actions outside of that. We must be involved in society and direct the cause of society if we are truly the light of the world. Otherwise, it's someone else that is going to be that. We have listened to people who don't know what they are doing, who have not preached or led or actually go ahead to condemn Christians being in politics. So Christians having a say in the White House or in positions of power. Say, oh, why are Christians? Why are you mixing God with politics? Separation of church and state. That is stupidity. The Muslims are not looking at it that way. Other religions, are not looking at it that way. You can actually go further in changing the doctrine and the beliefs of a nation by affecting the school systems and the political systems with laws than any crusade or any movement of revival from God himself. God can create a revival. God can do a revival where, and they have, look at the Billy Graham movements. How many people were filling stadiums to listen to sermons? But look at what America is today. Why? Because the entertainment was left secular. Christians did not take over movies. Christians did not take over music. It was the Michael Jacksons and the rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rock and roll that was running the show. What kids were listening to on a daily. The sitcoms that they were listening to push secular ideologies. The schools that they were going to, the education was secular. I was increasingly getting secular and increasingly antagonistic towards God and making it look like, oh, if you are pro-God, you are old school, you are outdated. It was intentional. So all the work of Billy Graham in America, in Christianizing and evangelizing America, all faded away. The descendants of all those people that were attending Billy Graham crusades, where Billy Graham was filling stadiums in America, the descendants are now homosexuals. Their descendants are now gay. Because Christians left the schools for Satan to run. Christians left the movies and Hollywood for Satan to run. Christians left the music, MTV and all of that for Satan to run. It was Abraham Lincoln that said the mindset of a classroom in one generation is the mindset of the nation in the next. If you can control education and right now the media and even social media, whatever ideology that is going to be the ideology of future generations, and it's going to be hard to break if it is carefully done in a way to put a strong hold on the people's minds. Christians left all this for Satan to dominate, and he dominated. So all those revivals, the revival of Catherine Kuhlman, wasted. The revival of John G. Lake, Smith Wigglesworth, all of that, those revivals were supposed to create a ripple effect that will cause their descendants and future generations and to keep on Christianity and dominate and grow and spread. But it's all nothing, because these other vital things were left behind. That's why I emphasize, take the 7 mountains and beyond. We must take education. We must take the political class. We must take the business world. Look at all this DI and LGBT is done through, a lot of it through business. They have made it clear through ESG scores that if your company does not have high ESG scores and apply all the DI and all those measures, you cannot get a lot of funding and loans and all of that and awards in the business world. So a lot of people now, to get the high ESG scores, the equity, inclusion and whatever, homosexuality, whatever scores, that you must have this for this industry, you must have this, those people doing that, has created a situation where businesses, they have to put pride logos on their destiny, on their companies. It's just now because of Trump in office, and that because Christians having a foothold in just only politics. We haven't touched anything else, and in just one aspect of politics, just the presidential position. We have not even spread. But yes, it was able to push back, at least this year, the number of companies that changed their logo to LGBT logo. But all of these have ESG scores that go with it. That is the devil having his plan of taking the business world. What is Christian's plan of taking the business world? Why don't you have a Christian ESG score? Your company has to be this and do this and do this. Your company has to do that and do that. And there are tangible financial rewards for it, just the same way companies are rewarded financially for having high ESG scores that promote LGBT and wokeness and all of that. So we must be wise and do these things.
Police shut down the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, declared an unlawful assembly, fired pepper balls to push crowds back. The real story? This isn't just about immigration, it's about media betrayal. This isn't just protest anymore. Everybody has the right to protest. That's one of the things that makes this country such a wonderful place to be. This is a movement fed by media distortions and open hostility toward any effort to enforce the law. Abolish ICE? What's that, like defund the police? What does that even mean? What does it look like when you abolish ICE? We just don't have borders anymore? We just absorb everybody that wants to come? And who's pushing that? People that live in gated neighborhoods, people that don't deal with overstressed infrastructure and schools? Take a look at this MSNBC so-called journalist making a case that there's nothing wrong with coming and staying in the U.S. illegally.
There are more people of color that live in Los Angeles than white people at this point, and many of those people are undocumented. Those people are our neighbors, our coworkers, our classmates, our friends, our parishioners, fellow parishioners in churches. They are part of the fabric of the city of Los Angeles.
The media isn't just rewarding bad behavior by sugarcoating it, encouraging it. They're actually saying, hey, this is okay. They're creating criminals. They're lying to viewers, even though the video speaks for itself. Look, here's the thing. If you really disagree with Trump, protest peacefully or go home. You have the right to protest. You have the right to assemble. You have the right to carry your signs. You have the right to chant your slogans. But when you start attacking agents, when you start attacking vehicles, when you start setting things on fire, you make a bad situation way, way worse. Before we go, I want to tell you this. This is why mainstream media viewership has tanked. If you want the truth, you need to look for the truth. Find it, demand it. It's out there. You need to cut through the legacy media noise. Don't you want to know what's really going on? Now, some of these networks, it's the reason I refer to them as legacy media, have been around for a long, long time. I was on one of them for over 2 decades. That does not mean they're telling you the truth. It does not mean they're giving you the facts. You, me, all of us, we aren't stupid. We truly aren't. We know what we see. And I have a strong belief that people know the truth when they see it, know the truth when they hear it. The real truth, not what the mainstream media wants us to believe. And this is why I will always tell you the real story, whether you like what I'm saying or not. And listen, if you don't believe what I'm telling you, fact check me. Fact check me. Go see if what I'm telling you is the truth. And if you find something wrong, tell me. Put it in the comments. Send me a note. Tell me I'm wrong. And we'll talk about it. If I miss something, look, I'm not the repository of all knowledge. Do I make mistakes? Of course I do. And if I get something wrong, you tell me.
No, people need to start wising up, wake up. I would say it's good to hear things from the horse's mouth. There are a lot of people who, for example, who believe all kinds of things about Trump, but you don't follow Trump on Truth Social. What's up with that? And you are in America. But you believe what MSNBC says about Trump. You believe the new information that they say about what he said, but you won't go to his own account and see what is it that he said. It's ridiculous. You dismiss hearing. It's like you are willing to hear that XYZ or your neighbor did something against you, but you're unwilling to go to your neighbor or look at what they posted to see what they're actually saying for yourself. Oh, that is racist if you go to look it up yourself. Oh, there's something wrong with you. But you are entertaining what other people are saying about it. Or entertaining what other people say that person said. It's ridiculous. Hear things from the horse's mouth. Look at things for yourself. I believe that, to be frank, ever since television and video was invented, there shouldn't really be need for news reporters. News reporters existed and came out in the time of print media, the inception of the Gutenberg press, when print came into, play, and then this publishing started. That was when there was news reporters. But now that, and I will say that news reporters were needed, to write in newspaper. But then now with all the lies that we see, how much of what was written then was lies, because it's only what they wrote that we saw and we could read majority of the time. Now you watch a news. The news is what the owner of the news station wants, because the news reporters are giving their opinion. Even if they will not even show the full clip of what, let's say, president speaks, just show what the president says, let the people think for themselves. But no, they will want to give their own version and their own interpretation and their own opinions. So at the end of the day, it's what they are saying, their translation, their interpretation is what is pushed forward. Let people hear from the horse's mouth. And I believe that the middleman, the news reporter, should be wiped out of the scene. We don't need news reporters. Listen to it from the horse's mouth. If you want to believe, if you want to hear what President Trump says, go and listen to what President Trump says. If you want to listen to what Governor Newsom says, go and listen to it for yourself. If you want to know what is happening in LA right now, are they riots? Is the protest truly peaceful, or if it's not peaceful? Look at the videos yourself. You can see the videos of LA burning. You can see what is happening yourself. We live in a day and age where there is evidence and there is proof. Everybody has a cell phone, so they can record it, and people are recording things, and we can see what is happening. So people need to smart up. That being said, make sure you check out Alfred.vip for more.
Say this prayer audibly if you have not given your heart to Jesus Christ. Dear God, I believe in my heart that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came, died, and was raised from the dead to save me. I confess Him, Lord, over my life, and ask You to give me Your Holy Spirit to live within me. I receive Your Spirit by faith, and thank You for I am now born again. In Jesus' name, amen. If you just prayed that prayer, congratulations, you're now a Christian. Go to Alfred.vip and get resources that will help you with your work with God.